TYT Sports. So it was announced yesterday that Canelo Alvarez, the 21-year-old phenom out of Mexico, will be facing Paul the Punisher Williams. We bring in Robert Ecksel, the editor-in-chief of boxing.com. Robert, you know, it kind of surprised me. I think it caught everyone a little off guard that Canelo would fight a known opponent, but certainly not at the top of his game yesterday. Did it catch you by surprise at all?
Well, yes, it doesn't seem like he's the optimal opponent. I mean, everybody has been following Canelo. Everybody has been sort of waiting for Canelo to step it up and fight a champion, or at the very least a live contender. And it doesn't seem to be happening. His last fight was with Mosley. We know that was a nasty bit of business where he sort of beat the living daylights out of Shane, and now he's taking on Paul Williams, who is, if not damaged goods, likely to be damaged goods after this fight.
No, he's damaged goods, but we'll get into that in just a moment. Firstly, Richard Schaefer had this to say: Canelo and Williams is done, signed, sealed, and delivered. I think Williams is the biggest name in the division we could get, and he has been known for years as one of the most avoided fighters in boxing. He's awkward, he's tall, he's a dangerous fighter, and that's what you need on a pay-per-view. You need to give fans fights where they don't know who's going to win the fight. Let me ask you something, Robert. How much is Richard Schaefer trying to deceive boxing fans everywhere by saying, and I quote, one of the most avoided fighters in boxing? He's a dangerous fighter. That's what you need on a pay-per-view. You need to give fans fights where they don't know who's going to win the fight. It's pretty obvious we know who's going to win. Paul Williams has not been one of the more avoidable fighters since he lost 3 fights ago to Sergio Martinez in a devastating knockout. So, I mean, is he just trying to hype up the gate? Is he trying to deceive us? I mean, what is it?
Well, he is doing what is his job to do, which is to promote a fight, to promote a fighter. And we can't really expect Richard Schaefer to be altogether honest with us. He has a vested interest in Canelo and Canelo's progress and Canelo's ability to sort of produce big pay-per-view revenue. So he's not going to risk Canelo anytime soon. And the fact that he agreed to have Canelo fight Paul the Punisher Williams, of all people, is an indication of that.
I understand that Paul Williams was, and I'm emphasizing, bolding, underlining, was, okay? He was one of the most avoidable fighters in boxing. No one wanted to face him. Sergio Martinez steps up to the plate. They have one very, very good fight, and one that, again, ended in devastating fashion in favor of Martinez, the man from Argentina. However, I mean, to me, although Paul Williams is 30 years old, it feels like he's 35. The wear and tear on that man's body has just progressed over the years, where he looked slow. He looked lackadaisical in the ring. It looked like he wasn't moving all that well. His head movement wasn't that great, and he just flat out looked slow and old in his last fight, in which he barely won, you could say, against Nobuhiro Ishida. So you can't, I mean, look, I'm not going to buy into all this stuff. I understand Richard Schaefer has a job. However, I mean, what kind of fight will he possibly put up against a stellar opponent like Canelo Alvarez?
Well, he's not going to put up much of a fight. I mean, even though he's tall, the bigger they are, the harder they fall. And Williams doesn't fight like he's a tall fighter. He's always on the inside. He doesn't use his size, his length. I mean, and so that, in a way, he's sort of ready-made for Canelo. And Canelo's going to ice him. He's going to ice him within 5 rounds, in my opinion.
I mean, here's what his manager said. Firstly, we've been looking for something. We've been looking for something of this magnitude. We'll be prepared for it. He is going to put on a boxing clinic against Alvarez. This is what Paul has been wanting. We know Canelo is a good boxer. He has good footwork, good power, and the will to win. That's what I think about Alvarez. But Paul has been in the ring with the best and done really well. Paul can get up for this fight. There's been 1 or 2 fights he couldn't get up for. Would you say that Erislandy Lara was one of those 2 fights in which he won a incredibly controversial decision in 12 rounds?
Well, that's the understatement of the week, Rick. We definitely wanted a fight he couldn't get up for. We know what happened in that Lara fight. I mean, Williams got punished. The Punisher got punished.
Yeah.
And even though he got the verdict, I mean, it was one of the many bad calls that we've seen recently. And there was no way that he won that fight. And this is the same trainer who, after Williams was nearly decapitated by Sergio Martinez, when they asked him what are you going to do differently, and now that Martinez has exposed Williams, and he said, we don't need to do anything differently. Quote unquote, Paul is a winner. So whatever this trainer has to say about this fight, I'm taking with a grain of salt.
It sounds like a stubborn old man who does not want to change his approach to a very quickly aging fighter in Paul Williams. Many people were asking for a possible mega fight between two power punchers and home run hitters between Canelo Alvarez and James Kirkland. However, Kirkland suffered a shoulder injury in a fight in March, so therefore the Canelo camp, you could say, turned to Paul Williams. Is he the next best opponent, would you say, for Canelo Alvarez?
Given the objectives of Golden Boy, he probably is the next best opponent. Given the objectives of boxing and boxing fans and people like you and myself, we probably would not say he's the best opponent. But he is the opponent that's going to be trotted out as sort of a sacrificial lamb. He will fight his fight, such as it is, and Canelo will take him out of there. I mean, we know that Alvarez is a juggernaut, and he is going to simply steamroll Paul Williams.
When we saw, and just a few more questions for you, Robert, when we saw Paul Williams against Erislandy Lara, you were mentioning that his trainer, headman, said that they would not change Paul Williams' approach at all. In that fight, it was lefty against lefty, and Lara just kept throwing overhand left after overhand left and simply connected at will. So what would be the game plan for a right-handed fighter for Canelo Alvarez? Would it be to throw overhand lefts at times, work the jab? What would it be?
I mean, that's assuming that he can change his game plan. I mean, it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks. And clearly his trainer / manager is not teaching Williams any new tricks. Mm-hmm. He's going to come and fight the fight that he always fights. He doesn't make adjustments. He has failed to make adjustments. Again, the Noble Hero fight aside, which he won, he has failed to make adjustments, and he's not going to have time to make adjustments because Alvarez is going to be on him. Yeah. I mean, I don't believe that Williams has the resiliency that Mosley has, and the resiliency. I mean, I don't know how good that resiliency is for Mosley, in fact, but I don't believe that Williams has that kind of resiliency or that kind of chin.
September 15th at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas, Nevada, Canelo Alvarez against Paul Williams on a pay-per-view card. Robert Ecksel, the editor-in-chief of Boxing.com, thank you so much for the time as always.
You're welcome. Thank you, Rick.